to Expanding Your Search with Brent and Jody Bailey. We are growing our circles of connection and knowledge with encouraging conversations and positive communications. Today, Brent and Jody welcome
rising star in the corporate coaching arena and comeback kid. He happens to also be our nephew. Robert Redmond is here today.
And now, here are your hosts, Brent and Jody Bailey.
Hey everybody, it's a wonderful Wednesday here at Expanding Your Search. It's Brent Bailey. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. We got a great show scheduled for you today. We actually have had to change kind of midstream. Usually we have a cast member or somebody affiliated with the show Vindication, one of our favorite shows, but we've had scheduling conflicts this week. So we have got a great show in its place. We got Jody and I's nephew, Robert Redmond, is going to be coming on to talk about his journey of what some things going on in his life. Before we get to him, though, we're going to go over to the control room, and Jody's going to be over there ready to jump in, and there she is.
Here I am.
So, Robert will be out here in a little bit. He's got a really great story, folks. He's been in the corporate leadership coaching for a little while now, and then he hit a major snag in his life. But God has just incredibly bounced him back.
He has.
To do some amazing things. We've known Robert almost his whole life.
Yes, I mean, I knew him when
You
he
probably
was
have
really
known him.
little. Yeah,
You knew him his whole life.
I did. I have, and he's always been a full of energy, full of drive kid, and I know he's not a kid anymore. He's an adult now, but I'm just proud of him. Proud to know him.
Yeah, and his story today, folks, is going to really motivate you.
Yes.
If you've been doing everything that you think you know the right steps to take, but it was leading you to a place where you kind of drove things off the cliff.
Right.
And you kind of become disillusioned by that. And then, bam, all of a sudden you figure it out. And that's the kind of thing that it's just really great to hear this kind of story today. So we can't wait to get Robert out here. And before that, though, what's going on around the country today?
Well, today is National Walk to School Day. Now, at this point, it's a little bit late for you to walk to school, but kids can walk home from school.
Sure.
If they want to.
Well, did you ever walk to school as a kid?
I did. I don't think I actually walked to school. We didn't live close enough.
Yeah, we didn't either.
But I did walk. I remember, I think when I was in high school.
Walking to catch the bus.
Walking to catch the bus, walking to home. And I remember it just being I'm like picturing it, kind of a far walk. But it's good for exercise.
Where my parents live now, and of course you know where that is. They live on the hill. It's a big, long driveway. I just walked down the driveway to get on the bus. I didn't ride it every day, but did. Before that, though, we lived on a street, and just right at the end of the street, we just, boom, right there to the school bus. But I was always jealous of the kids in the TV shows and on the movies and things that lived in a neighborhood where they were right down the street from the school. They could just, maybe half a mile or so, and they could walk, and it was like a big party in the neighborhood in the morning. You're walking down, everybody, hey, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And I never got to have that experience.
Yeah.
So, but I think the theme of the day, though, is it's really for kids' health and exercise.
It is for health and exercise, and always a great opportunity for kids to get out. I know every time we bring Peyton home, he likes to run down our street, and when last year when he would do that, like he would beg you to stop.
Yeah, stop here. I'm going to
stop here. I'm going to run the rest of the way to the house. So,
and it's also there are because a lot of folks have realized, and a lot of schools are starting to get the message that some kids live too far away and they can't walk to school. They've started things like Walk Club and things like that, where when you get there, they have a track set up outside in the playground or whatever, and the kids can go out and move and walk and that kind of thing. So that's cool.
That is very cool.
All right, what else is happening?
It's Pumpkin Seed Day. Now, of course, it's everything pumpkin in this month. But pumpkin seeds.
Like to eat?
To eat.
Now, you've
pumpkin
done that
seeds.
before.
I have made them, but you know what? You can buy them in any store. You can buy pumpkin
But we
seeds.
roasted them with olive oil and salt and pepper in the oven.
Good.
And it was good.
I mean, it's really good. Kind of a little weird to chew. And
it's a little bit like popcorn.
Yeah.
Little flavoring like popcorn. pretty good.
Yeah, so it's good. So I would recommend, if you are going to be carving pumpkins with your kids or doing whatever, scoop
Save the
those.
seeds.
And I'm telling you, I know some people are like, oh, it's so gross to scoop the meat out of the pumpkin, but you get those seeds out. It's just kind of a tradition type thing that I like to do.
Yeah.
And bake those seeds. Now, I would say Preston probably will eat them. Peyton definitely will not.
I know that we didn't eat all of them all at once, but we did
No.
kind of snack on them over course of a
Yes,
few days because
yes.
there were so many. So
Yeah. So yeah, try that out. Something a little bit different, and something to do with your kids.
all right, what else?
It is also Plus Size Appreciation Day.
Today, yay! Big and tall size.
Big and tall.
Oh no, wait a minute. Is there a difference? Because
It-
I know that they like to call the women's section plus size.
Plus size,
The men,
they do.
The men, they call it big and tall.
It's for men and women.
So it is, okay.
Yes, but it's not just about, just a simple thing of a larger person.
I shopped in that section
You
for the
did.
first 36 years of my life.
In fact, I just now unsubscribed from the king size catalog.
I remember being a kid
Oh, yeah.
and shopping in the husky section. That's what it's called when you're a youngster.
Yeah.
Husky.
The husky section.
So I am all about that. They're great. We appreciate
But
them.
here's the thing about it. It's not just simply about a physical appearance. It is a larger than life personality also. That's what we're appreciating the entirety of it. And so for those of you, just be confident. If you are somebody I've seen so many gorgeous plus size models. Absolutely. And that they just, they've got confident about how they look, and beautiful. So we appreciate you and appreciate yourself.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
It is also Noodle Day. Now, do you know what the root word, the word noodle, where it came from?
No, I have no idea.
It's funny because you would think it would be Italy, but it's
Well, wait a minute. Let me see if I can figure it out.
Okay.
Noodle. It's got to be German.
exactly. And it's a German word.
I'm a
Nudel.
linguist, folks. Not
Yeah,
really. Not really.
Nudel. German word noodle.
What does it
Anyway.
mean?
Huh?
What does it mean?
It's the same. It's a noodle. That's what
It's
how they
just-
spell.
it's-
Yeah.
okay.
But noodles.
I'm sure they say it weird though, like noodle.
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 I don't know. We're trying. I am a little
We're
bit
insulting
German.
all the German friends
We are.
right now, so.
We are. But here's the thing. I know most people. If you go to the grocery store, you're going to see a plethora of different types of
It
noodles.
crosses all of the geographic boundaries.
It really does. But what I mean is what.
I mean, we were having Chinese the other night, and of course, Chinese are known for their noodles.
Exactly. Yeah. Thai noodles. I mean,
Yeah.
right? They make rice noodles. But so there's a variety of they call different flours, because noodles are made of unleavened dough that's
Unleavened.
rolled
Does that
out.
mean they're
Unleavened.
holy?
I guess it does.
Holy.
And honestly, I mean, I love a good noodle dish. It does not always love me. So that's why we try to be healthy.
Yeah. I you know what? Since they've developed a lot of the plant-based stuff, it's a lot more rewarding.
Yes.
You don't feel as heavy and
Right.
bloated after eating plant-based noodles like you did when.
Yeah, I would say thus far what
We
I've
went-
tried is the palmini noodle.
Well, we went to eat the Sunday night just a few nights ago.
Yeah.
And Preston was in the mood for pasta.
Yes.
Well, we don't really eat a lot of pasta.
No, we
anymore.
don't.
We used to. That was like the go-to easy.
That's
But
what
we
every
found a
meal I
place
make.
that had gluten-free noodles, and they
Yeah.
were really good.
Yeah.
And you don't feel
Miserable.
bloated afterwards. It's really
Yeah.
quite nice.
Yeah.
And the sauce is still the same.
Yeah.
All
it
that was
is.
still the
It's
same. So it was
all
really
the
good.
same. Yeah. So it's good. And there are a lot of restaurants that do offer gluten-free options. Now we have come across the gluten-free options
right.
that do not include
And we like
noodles,
we
but-
like most of the gluten-free stuff. No,
Yeah.
Some of it is.
But there is some that they make that is like made out of lentil or parsnip, and I'm sorry, it's just not as good.
But almond flour stuff is usually pretty good.
it is pretty good.
Or cauliflower-based stuff.
Yeah, it's usually pretty good. Now they do have cassava flour that I heard was delicious.
All right, we'll have to try that
Anyway,
one next.
so we just-
All right,
yeah.
what else? What else?
Coffee with a Cop Day. So
I think we celebrated this last year.
I believe that we did.
believe we did.
Find yourself a cop that maybe.
I am going to send my friend Jeremy Brislin, who is a lieutenant
Yes.
or something like that. A high-level official.
High level, yes.
In the city of Lexington.
Yes.
I'm going to send him a gift card to Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So yeah, I mean, go and appreciate your
that's right.
officers.
Appreciate the police.
Appreciate them and get them a coffee.
That's right.
And then one more, it's Coaches Day. Now, I look at that and
Athletic coaches?
Any coaches, really any coaches. It's men or women who inspire us to work hard and work harder and to do our best. That would definitely be considered a coach in any profession, any whether it's a sport or it's a coach coaching somebody to be in leadership or whatever it is. So it's Coaches Day. So we appreciate those that do coach, and you do a little bit of that too.
Not really.
Not really.
I mean, I'm a
think that
pastor,
you do,
so
yeah.
pastors do coach,
Yes.
but not really.
Yes. So.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about. We like to talk about food these days too,
Yes.
and
These days.
everybody's crossing the barrier. I mean, we've talked about the chicken sandwich wars, and people are getting into, the brands are starting to all try each other's,
Yeah.
Snickers has now come out with a cinnamon bun flavor.
Really?
See, why can't they just leave the cinnamon bun people
seriously.
to do their thing? Why do the candy bars
I
have
don't
to
know.
cross over? Anyway, they
I
do.
don't know.
They have now debuted, just in time for Halloween, a cinnamon bun flavored Snickers. So,
I don't know. I don't know what. That doesn't really sound good to me.
it doesn't me either.
I like cinnamon buns, and
I just can't imagine
like
what that
Snickers.
tastes like with Snickers. But
Just give
anyway,
me a good cinnamon bun.
all right. Have you
That's
ever
so
heard
long.
of the company Big Fat Cookie?
I have not.
Yeah, they're kind of exactly that, a big fat cookie company. They have released 4 unique Halloween-themed creations, or fall-themed, I should. Yeah. That's more probably correct for some folks. Fall-themed cookies that they're shipping now nationwide at bigfatcookie.com. There's a Halloween town. There is the Scary Eye, red velvet s'mores, and the Halloween peanut butter.
Well, okay, that would be good.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun.
Interesting, yeah.
All right. And now, do you remember a few years ago when KFC came out with a sandwich that was a piece of their chicken with like bacon and cheese, and then there was another. It was called the Double Down.
Yes.
They've brought it back for the first time in 10 years. It's out right now.
Now Preston will probably want
It
that.
is a piece of KFC, 11 herbs and spices, boneless chicken, cheese, bacon, and some kind of sauce, and then a bottom piece of another.
It's just too much.
I mean, I used to think that was like a heart attack waiting to happen.
No kidding. I feel like, no, I can't.
Heart attack sandwich.
Yeah.
All right, one more thing, and then we'll move on. And, and this is it. We were talking about this being Taco Week this week, right? Yeah, it's Taco Week.
Taco Week.
And your favorite tacos are?
Jack in the Box.
Yep. Jack in the Box from now to the end. I think it's to the end of October. Let me double check. I believe it's right around the Halloween.
Time,
it is. It's called the 2 for $3 Monster Taco Meal. 2 for $3 with any purchase, available at all their stores nationwide. So
nationwide.
Yeah, Jack in the Box mobile app. You can order them.
Okay. All right. Will you send them to me, Jack in the Box?
Yeah.
I should probably look up the recipe for those because I do crave them quite a bit. If I have a bad
I don't
craving,
think they're that good. So
I like them. So.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up what's going on around the country today. Hang with us now. We're going to get into it with Robert Redmond as we expand your search. Probably more than 10 years ago, I got to meet a young man that was, he was kind of a really funny kid in a youth group in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He actually started coming to our youth group with some friends of his. And then our families merged. His grandfather and Jody's mom got married, and we actually started we became family. And we have had the pleasure of watching him grow into an outstanding professional in his life. And he is currently the COO of Redmond Growth out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's been on quite of a journey in his life as of late, and we don't want to give anything away because we want him to tell you all about it. He's probably one of the most influential movers and shakers in his age bracket, and if not even further on out into all age groups. We're super proud of him, and he is Jody and I's nephew, and we're so excited to have him on the show today. Please welcome Robert Redmond to the program. Hey, buddy.
Oh, hey.
How's it
Wow,
going?
what an introduction. It's going great. The only thing is, Brent, I think it was closer to 20 years ago.
No, don't say that. We're not that old. It is true. I just
remember nights in the Rama parking lot with my brother and, of course, Dylan Cogshaw. And, yeah.
Sparkler bombs and all kinds of other fun stuff like that. Yep. I remember it as well.
In Jesus' name we pray.
And all of that is under the blood.
Yes, amen.
First of all, how have you been? I haven't seen you since Hawaii. Everything going well?
Yeah, man. I am in a really great spot. Hawaii was an awesome week, and I'm really excited about the event, the 40th year anniversary. And I think most of my cousins, the rest of hopefully my siblings, and I know my grandfather really wants all the grandkids there. But yeah, it's been a really tough year for me. Like if you look at literally, today is September 29th. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that.
No, it's good. It's good. It's fine.
Okay. But if you look at like September 29th, 2020, and all that's taken place in my life in the past year, it's been a big growth year for me. But I was actually meeting. I meet with I have my own coach. I'm in coaching. That's a business I'm in, and we buy into our own product. We very, very much value coaching for our own company, for ourselves as individuals. And I was just telling him that, it's kind of amazing to feel like you're going through life and you can't really sense maybe the growth that's taking place, or you can't see how you're progressing or how everything's going to shake out. And then just to kind of become suddenly aware that what I believe that God has been very present in your life the entire time, even though it's imperceptible, even though you have no awareness of it, and that he is leading you to a place of total restoration, of total redemption. It is transforming you into a person who just oozes the character and likeness of Jesus Christ on the earth, which I believe is our calling.
Totally. Before we get into the part of the growth, let's set the table for what that growth came from, because you graduated from college and you really hit the ground running in the executive world, and you really were making, I like to say, a star is rising, so to speak. If you really started to make waves almost immediately, and things seem to be going your way. Talk a little bit about the early days right after college.
Yeah, so I went to Oral Roberts University, which I absolutely love my time there, and it's a unique place, but I love it, and it was just awesome. And at ORU, I actually had two different theology majors. I had 30 hours of coursework in two different theology majors, which was one major was like church history and Christian philosophy, and the other major was New Testament biblical literature. And I did that because I wanted to go to Duke Seminary. I wanted to go to one of the best seminaries.
I didn't know that. We may have to cut this interview short.
I know, bro.
Because I hate Duke. Okay, just so you know.
Kentucky.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
And so I didn't go to Duke. My senior year, I just kind of realized that the Masters of Divinity thing would be accessible at any point in my life. And at the ripe old age of 21 years old, I didn't know about taking on another, $100,000 of student debt with a career focus that really only has one trajectory, which is ministry.
Yeah.
And so I actually joined up with a guy that I was working with, Corbin McGuire. He was like an IT recruiter, like a headhunter type of thing. And just with two theology degrees, it's like I didn't have an accounting background or computer science or anything. I was like, well, I can call people and I have no fear. And so I went into that business, and we actually really grew the business. He had the owner had never hired someone full time, and we grew to 5 full-time employees, and we doubled our highest annual revenue that he had ever had on his own before. And things were really rocking. I was making good money at the time. It was good money, especially for Oklahoma. But these days, people are making a lot, like what I used to consider a lot of money really early. And hit a point in that company where actually my dad began coaching me. I would meet with my dad every week, and we'd go over just different things that are going on in the business, and he'd give me feedback and systems to implement, and then we'd meet again the next week, and I'd update him on progress. And I remember one of those meetings, I told him, I said, Dad, I'm kind of discouraged. Son, what's up? What's going on? Well, I'm 25 years old, and I have ambition, and I want to grow something. I want to be a part of something, and to put it in the words of Steve Jobs, I want to make my dent on the universe.
Yeah.
And but the owner, Corbin, he's like, hey, listen, I don't really want to grow this thing. I really like having my freedom, and I don't want to have to manage people. So he's like, Robert, you can stay with me as long as you want. And so I just told him, I feel like I'm in an environment where I don't really have a lot of support to grow something. And, that's when my dad kind of said, well, what happens if you join me? And we kind of joined forces. And I had so much doubt about it, was really scared, honestly, because I was making great money, joined my dad, took a huge pay cut, literally about 80% lower than what I was.
Wow.
Which I know a lot of entrepreneurs start with absolutely nothing.
Yes.
So in a way, I'm thankful for what I had, but just took a big risk, and didn't really know anything about consulting or business growth, but I just knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to build something, and my dad always says something that has really stuck with me. He says this to a lot of people if you interact with them, and what he said is, son, who you become in the process is going to be more important than anything. And that was 5 years ago that he told me that.
Now let's bring up the audience up to speed on who your dad is. His dad, folks, is Tim Redmond. He's been a guest on the program, and Tim has his own success story. If you want to watch and see what his story is, you can watch the show in our archives. But just so you know who he's talking about, this Tim Redmond. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so that line, "who you become in the process," really got me. And now looking back over the last 5 years since I joined him, it's amazing who I am today versus who I was 5 years ago. And so
then
we work with.
I was going to say you start working for your dad, and I remember Bob coming and showing us, things are happening for you. I mean, look, Robert bought a Porsche, and things were really starting to. His client list is growing, and the company's growing. I remember talking to your dad, telling us about how things were really starting to happen, and then you hit a pothole.
Yeah. So I was really obsessed with finding my identity in a certain external image. And so, and I've gone through a lot of therapy work and just deep into my childhood and psychology. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but I basically was just at a point where, I felt validated by achievement, by accomplishing certain things. So, I became obsessed with becoming this guy in his mid to late 20s who drives a Porsche and is an entrepreneur and makes money and can do whatever he wants and whatever. And that obsession led me to one of the hardest experiences I've ever been through in my life, which was, in my view, a fairly unexpected divorce. And I was really wrapped up in a big alcohol problem. I was a total alcoholic as well. And the reason why I say, somewhat unexpected, looking back on it, the writing was all over the wall, but I just was totally oblivious to it. So anyway, that happened, and there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't save the marriage. It was done. And that put me in a really, really dark place. And I knew I needed help. And so, and I knew I needed to really change my entire life around, because I learned that if I continued on the same trajectory, it may be a different timeline, but I knew my life would repeat the same pattern again and again and again.
That's so
and
good.
That happens to so many people, and because I've been able to be a part of these Celebrate Recovery groups and,
Sure.
and just incredible groups of people. And you'll hear these stories of, it takes some folks 20, 30 years of repeating that same cycle. So I made a big decision, which I thought was impossible, but I was talking to a good friend of mine named John Doherty back in Tulsa.
Yeah.
He was a pastor at Victory Christian Center, and he told me about this place in Edmonds, Washington, just outside of Seattle, called the Center of Hope. And he didn't tell me a whole lot about it. He just kind of told me the basics, but it was like a mental health and depression treatment facility. They had a substance abuse component. It wasn't like a rehab. Like it was kind of an outpatient clinic. You could come and go, but just very busy. But as he began telling me about that, just something within me just said, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Even though you don't have it figured out, you need to go. So I just made a decision that I needed to go, worked it out with the business, worked it out with my dad, and came here and did the 30 days, and it was life-changing, and just initiated a total change in my trajectory. After I completed the program, I'm born and raised in Tulsa, spent 28 years there, and I love Tulsa. And some people may not understand that. Would love to talk to you if you don't, because I'm a pretty good salesperson on Tulsa. But I just knew that I needed to get out of this environment that I've been a part of, which is, for the most part, this incredible environment. But I knew I just needed to figure things out on my own. I wanted to own my own faith in God, and not have it something that I inherited from my parents or grandparents, and wanted to figure out how I got here and just build a lot of internal strength, security, and confidence. So that's what I've been doing the past year. I'm in Seattle now. I'm in my apartment.
Okay, so, and that's so good. I mean, I was a youth pastor for so many years, and that's what I was always trying to instill in kids, is that you can't do this on your own, your parents' faith. You're going to have to develop your own. As you get out there, you know, your success and your faith, you say you kind of look at this as part of the same journey. What was the big step that you took to kind of make those things your own?
Yeah, so what I mean by that is I have a tendency, and I think other people can sometimes have a tendency to almost like isolate their lives in certain buckets and like certain components. And so like for work, I'm going to show up as this type of person. For church, I'm going to show up as this type of person. You know, for my family, I'm going to be this other type of person. Or when I'm out with my friends, I'm going to be this other type of person. And I just, that kind of thinking caused me to just live kind of in a way of self-deception and deceit and manipulation. And I just began to realize that I am Robert Redmond, and that Robert Redmond is someone for me to love, and Robert Redmond can be Robert Redmond in any environment that he's in without shame. Mm-hmm. And so through a lot of the work that I did, I just came to realize that I had a lot of insecurities, that I lacked a lot of self-love, which would cause me to almost be hesitant or fearful to show up as myself in certain environments. I thought I had to, please people. I thought I had to, impress people in different environments, or I thought I had to be, the alpha guy or whatever. And that just caused me to live a life of my entire life was a lie in many ways. And I never want to live that way again. And there is a life that is so much more freeing and beautiful and satisfying, even with hardship. It is still so beautiful and satisfying when you learn to really just know who you are, love who you are, and then show up as who you are in any environment. And yeah, that's what kind of changed.
You mentioned putting in the work, and that's something that people like to just bypass. They hear the end result of your story, and they go, well, I was there where he is. I'm now just going to be what he is now. What kind of work did you put in?
Yeah, so...
And we don't have to go into deep detail, but just
to get real, I really believe that every individual on earth will always extremely benefit from either seeing some sort of therapist or a coach or someone outside of yourself that has lived some life and has dealt with some tough things and has come out of that in a good way to be kind of a sounding board and to speak wisdom into your life. And so what that looked like for me was spending 30 days at the center, and then I go there every week to this day for weekly therapy. I have this incredible counselor that I meet with, really strong Christian guy, but also very, very well educated, very knowledgeable. And then I also meet with a guy called a masculine wholeness coach, which when I first heard that, I was like, this is like the most new agey sounding thing. But they really pair well together in that a lot of the therapy work I do, the way that we're raised is almost every behavioral trait we have can be attributed to that, to the way that we are raised, and then the kind of self-communication, the internal dialogue that goes on. And so what the work looked like was healing, and I never went through the level of trauma that a lot of people go through. I was raised at 91st and Harvard in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Not like my story is not that bad compared to how a lot of people have had to unfortunately suffer in life. However, I was raised in an environment where achievement was rewarded, where I was told that I was disciplined for being who I am in a lot of circumstances. And so I lived most of my life thinking that something was wrong with me, or thinking that I had to be someone else, or that I had to do this thing to prove that I'm worthy of love and acceptance. And so the work that I've done really primarily includes really three things. And the first thing is discovering who I am and really learning to love that person, which is one of the most important commandments God gave us. Love your neighbor as yourself.
So good.
And that verse, it requires, in order to love your neighbor, self-love first, because whatever is inside flows out. And if you have a deep insecurity or hatred or dissatisfaction with who you are, even if you're maybe not happy with where you're at in terms of life situations or whatever, requiring or practicing self-love typically is the thing that will lead you to that change that you are seeking. I have a really good friend of mine, Colton Barnaby. He's into Primerica up in Chicago, and he's, I think, 5'10", 5'11", and he was over 300 pounds. And he went on this incredible weight loss journey. He's lost over 65 pounds this year. And that came from him learning to love himself, even at his chubbiest state, but loving himself and wanting what's best for him, which is what led him. And so that was the first thing. Then the second thing was working on my internal dialogue. They call it inner parenting. And there's basically two voices inside of us. And we've all heard this. It's like a left brain, right brain, creative and rational. But in some of the work that I did, they taught it as a parent and child. And the parent represents the more excitable, the more emotional, the more childlike parts of ourselves. And the parent represents kind of that more logical and rigid and protective, kind of side of ourselves. And there's a dialogue that happens within us. And typically that dialogue, if you don't really work on it, is not very great. Our inner parent can tell us, how could you do this? You're a failure, you're stupid, whatever, just very bad self-talk. However, if we begin to change that dialogue to be the parent that and it takes practice, but to be the parent that we really seek, meaning this, let's say your son makes a big mistake, Brent, and he comes to you and he says, Dad, I really messed up and I feel so bad about it and I can't believe I did this. how are you going to respond? You're not going to say, oh my gosh,
You're such an idiot.
yeah, you're so stupid. But that's how we talk to ourselves. What are you going to do? You're going to
Come on,
say,
that's good.
hey buddy, it's okay. Hey, you're Preston, you got this. You can make it past this. Or just a lot more encouraging. So I learned to have that dialogue with myself. And then the last saying, and I know I've been going, but this is big. The last saying is learning to understand our own core value and the core value of every other individual. And here's the power in that is if we begin to understand that our worth is infinite. This is why I think the principle of the image of God, the Imago Dei, is so important, or sonship or daughtership, sons and daughters of God. Is because if we really buy into that, if we really believe, okay, I have infinite worth, I was created in the image of God, just as I am, God infinitely loves and accepts me. Or even if you don't make it a God thing and you just say, you know what, my worth is not conditional because I am human, my worth is infinite. And then understanding that the other person, even if they, and this is bless those that persecute you, even if they are really rude to you, mean to you, or terrible to you, if you understand the core value of that other person and how whenever they may respond to you out of hurt or pain, that's a lot of times it's just their core value being threatened. It's them feeling like, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not accepted. That can totally change the narrative of your life. And just to give a quick example of how this works, is I was out to lunch with my parents the other day, and we were having an incredible conversation, and it was a really deep talk, and it was a really healthy, really great talk, but my mom started to get a little bit emotional in the conversation. In the past, when that would happen, I would just check out. I would just be like, okay, my mom's crying again, I'm gonna peace out. But because of the work that I've done, I was first able to understand, okay, her emotional state really has nothing to do with me. It's not a me thing. It's a her internal processing. So I know I still have core value. I know I still am accepted. I'm worthy of love. But then I also was able to see her in that lens, and I almost saw her as, and this is kind of weird as to say about your mom, I almost saw her as like this little girl who was just hurt and just didn't know what to do.
That's so good, Robert.
And that caused me to change the total response I had to her.
So good.
I will say, Mom, oh my gosh, when I put myself in your shoes, I see where you're coming from, and that's hard and that's painful. And Mom, I love you, and regardless of anything, I want a loving relationship with you forever. And so that was like a major thing, because typically those sorts of interactions with my mom or anyone would be like a conflict and separation. But instead, the interaction allowed us to really bond and really grow closer together and build our relationship.
Folks, this is Robert Redmond. He's our guest today, and as you can tell, he's a wealth of experience for somebody that's such a young age. Through all of this, your business continued to grow. You're still doing great things in the executive world. We need to have you come back so we can talk about that some more.
Yeah. My dad's going to be so pissed. I don't even know if I can say that word. You might have to bleep it out.
Well, we'll probably just leave it right there. So anyway,
okay.
Robert, listen, man, we are so super proud of you and so excited for what you got going on and the growth of your business. Everything is just something that is a bright spot in the family, and we're very excited for you. We will have you come back. How's that?
I would love to, man. I would love to.
We'll
I know I can talk a lot, but
we'll have your people get with our people, and we'll settle on something somewhere. So.
Yeah, hair and makeup never showed, by the way. I don't know if there's an address error. I know
it probably is. It probably is. Yeah. I think we probably sent them to somebody else's house. So anyway, listen, man, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to put some information up. If you want to follow Robert on his journey, he posts quite a lot of things. You can follow him on Facebook and Instagram. Right there it is at RW Redmond. If you'd like to get more information about the business, you can go to redmondgrowth.com. Again, he is the COO of that company, and they're doing great things, especially if you're in the business world. You need some good coaching to have it. Man, Robert, have a great rest of your day. Get out there and keep killing it, man.
All right. Love you, man.
Love you too. Talk to you soon. That's Robert Redmond, everybody, and now let's stop for directions. The Apostle Paul said something in Philippians chapter 3, verse number 14, and it's really good. He says, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. And I can't help but read something like that and think the term setbacks are going to happen. Listen, just because things are going smoothly does not mean that something that is trying isn't coming your way. Listening to Robert talk today, I could see that revelation that has happened for him. Many times, people believe that because good things are happening around them, then that must mean everything is okay. And usually when they think that, they kind of ignore the red flags going off in their life. The true measure of success is not the absence of trials. It's not the absence of hard times or even the absence of unhappiness. On the contrary, success is when you can look back and see the problems that you overcame. You can look back and you can still stand and fight whatever the latest trial coming your way is. When Paul used the phrase, I press towards, that just wasn't him being persistent. Pressing includes fighting, making changes, adjusting your attitude, and continuing to learn. It even means adjusting your thought process along the way. This life is never going to be a conveyor belt that doesn't require thought and fluid change. We are not robots or computers. We can't be programmed and expect life to stay with us. We are living beings that should be evolving and growing and changing all along the way. When a problem comes, many times, that's a good indicator that you're nearing the end of your current knowledge, resources, ability, and even capacity. If you don't rise up and press, then true success never comes. Remember that the call of God in Christ Jesus is always an upward call, not a lifelong lateral call. Embrace the change, admit that you don't have it all figured out, decide to grow, decide to change, evolve, and even though things are great right now, how much more can they be if you're willing to embrace the change? That's going to wrap it up for the show today. I'm so excited that Robert came and shared his story with us. Join me this Friday for another great show. My thanks to Jody over there in the control room for another great job and bringing us another great show. We hope we helped you expand your search today. Have a blessed day, everybody. We'll see you Friday.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @Expanding Your Search on Facebook and Instagram and @Expanding Search on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We are available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search